There we go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Walsh, and I am going to call the Advisory Commission on Charter Schools meeting for Tuesday, June 4th, 2024 to order. And let's see. Members of the public who wish to make public comment may do so in person or by calling into the meeting. Public comment will be limited to 1 minute per person for each item. Members of the public wishing to make public comment in person should sign up on the sign-up sheets located on the tables in the back of the boardroom. The Department of Education staff will call members of the public by name when it is time to take public comment. Individuals should form a queue behind the microphone at the back of the room and wait for further direction from department staff prior to making public comment. Members of the public wishing to dial in for public comment should view the live stream of the meeting. The number and access code is available on the meeting agenda under public comment guidelines and will also be provided at the start of public comment for each item. Prior to making public comment, callers who are watching the meeting live webcast should make sure that the volume on their computer is muted to avoid echoing sounds during the call. When it is a caller's turn to make public comment, the caller will hear a voice announcement that says that they are unmuted. Another announcement will be made when a caller's time for public comment has ended. To call in for public comment, dial 717-908-1926 and use access code 1166083#. At this time, I'll ask everyone to please join me in the flag salute, and I'll lead it this time. Salute, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. All right. So at this moment, I'd love to acknowledge that we have in the room with us today Sharon Olkin, who is our liaison with the State Board of Education, as well as we believe we have remote is Cynthia Glover Woods is joining us. Is that correct? Yeah. Perfect. So at this point, I'd like to call on each of the commissioners to share with us who they are, because we also have a couple commissioners online who are joining us remotely. So yeah, we'll see. We've got a process here, just looking for where they are so I can have them announce themselves as well. I'll start with those of us who are here on the dais with me, and I'll start to my right. So Commissioner Taylor, please tell us who you are and who you represent.
Good morning, everyone. Matt Taylor, representing charter schools.
And then Commissioner Fennell.
Good morning, Todd Fennell, representing California County Superintendents.
Commissioner Brazil.
Neil Brazil, representing superintendents.
And Commissioner Park.
Good morning, Susan Park, representing the State Superintendent.
Commissioner Olmos.
Good morning, Steve Olmos, representing parents.
And I am Mike Walsh, representing governing boards of school districts. And joining us, do we have them on the camera? Oh, there they are, right to the side. Thank you for someone for pointing that out to me. That technology is right in front of me. Sorry. So Commissioner King.
Good morning, Derek King, representing charter schools.
And Commissioner Jones.
Good morning, Erica Jones, representing teachers.
And then I'll also wave to Cynthia Glover Woods, who I now see on the screen. So thank you very much for joining us, all of you. In this moment, I'll go ahead and consider a motion for adopting the meeting notes from the April 9th, 2024 ACCS meeting.
Move to approve.
So Commissioner Brazil approves.
Commissioner Taylor seconds.
We'll have a second, and we'll take a vote. So Commissioner King, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Brazil?
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Olmos?
Aye.
Commissioner Park?
Aye.
And Commissioner Fennell?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Meeting notes adopted. All right. We will take general public comment after the Charter Schools Division update. Members of the public who wish to make general public comment by phone for items that are not part of the ACCS agenda may dial in now. Please call 717-908-1926 and use access code 1166083#. You must enter access code 1166083# to be added to the caller queue. Callers making public comment should make sure the volume on their computer is muted to avoid echoing sounds during the call. So while those folks call in, I'm going to go ahead and move on to item number 6, Charter Schools Division Update. Commissioner Park, it is all yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to announce that on May 8th, the State Board of Education approved California Department of Education's movement to prepare an application for the Federal Charter School Grant Program. The application is due very soon, June 13th. In summary, California will be applying for $93 million in grant money to be distributed over a 5-year cycle to new charter schools as well as high-quality charter schools that are seeking to expand or replicate in California. It is a competitive grant, and California's application will be reviewed against other eligible states. The feds have announced that they plan to award about 4 to 6 awards. And once it is approved, it goes really fast in the fall. Details about the grant proposal is in the May 8th board agenda item, but just a quick summary. The base grant being proposed is a jump from a $600,000 base to an $800,000 base because, frankly, things are more expensive, and the last time we applied was in 2020. We also are very excited with our liaisons helping us at every step of analysis that our supplemental funds are really identifying California's priorities, and that an eligible charter school can apply for $100,000 to $200,000 of each of these categories that I'm going to name for you. If they meet and exceed the percentage of the district they're located in for English learners, for SED, for special education, and for CTE, a first for California, putting this into the grant, innovation and best practices, if they were to partner with a public school district, SELPA, county, or university. Remember the Charter Schools Act back in 1992? And if they were to serve a high school grade and serve 100 students total enrollment in their first year. These are the areas that we see really identifying successful programs, and so it really reflects the voices that have been part of this conversation. So the next, until about June 14th, please no one talk to me, no one email, and no one call me. On June 19th, coming up, the Charter Schools Division consultant Rick Reyes will be presenting the charter school renewal process. It's been a minute since we've done renewals in full force. And so on June 19th, he'll be at the California Charter Authorizing Professionals, what we call CCAP, in Irvine. So a lot of districts and counties will be at that conference. And then a week after that, on June 27th, I'll be co-presenting with Eric Premack from the Charter School Development Center at the annual 2024 Leadership Intensive. And I've been asked to present on authorizer relations. So we'll talk about oversight, we'll talk about the renewal process, and just maintaining a positive rapport between school districts and charter schools. So that is my update.
You're busy. All right. Thank you so much for that update. Let's move on to general public comment for items not on the ACCS agenda. We will take public comment first from anyone in the room if CDE staff says that someone would like to speak. So please let me look at staff. Is there anyone in the room who's speaking? And seeing no one, all right, I will move on. At this time, we will take general public comment from callers on the phone. Is there anyone on the line for public comment?
Good morning, Commissioner. We currently have no callers on the line.
All right. And we will continue to move on because Susan has work to get back to. All right. So today we will hear 3 funding determination items. We'll start with item number 1. Consideration of determination of funding request is required for non-classroom-based charter schools. People wishing to make public comment by phone for item number 1 should call in at this time. Dial 717-908-1926 and use access code 1166083# when prompted. You must enter that access code to be added to the caller queue. Item 1, again, is a consideration for funding determination for 9 charter schools. McKenna Yui from the Charter Schools Division will present this item. And so, McKenna, it's all yours.
Good morning, Chair Walsh and members of the Commission. My name is McKenna Huey, and I will present all of the items on today's meeting agenda. So, as Chair Walsh stated, the first item consists of a regular funding determination request. The department proposes to recommend that the State Board of Education approve all of the funding determination requests presented in this item at 100% for a period of fiscal year 2024-25 through 2027-28. And the 9 charter schools in this item do meet the regulatory criteria to qualify for 100% funding for their non-classroom-based instruction. So statute provides that a charter school may receive funding for its non-classroom-based instruction only if a determination of funding is made by the state board. In determining that non-classroom-based instruction is conducted for the instructional benefits of pupils and is substantially dedicated to that function, the state board shall consider the amount of a charter school's total budget expended on certificated employee salaries and benefits, school sites, and the pupil-to-teacher ratio of the school. Pursuant to statute and regulations, a charter school may qualify for 70%, 85%, or 100% funding, or may be denied for its non-classroom-based instruction. The criteria to qualify for each level of funding is detailed in the item as well as in the table on this slide. To qualify for a proposed recommendation of 100%, a charter school must spend at least 40% of its public revenues on certificated staff salaries and benefits, spend at least 80% of its total revenues on instruction and related services, and maintain a pupil-to-teacher ratio of 25:1. So regulations state that a funding determination shall be in increments of 2 to 5 years. Statute outlines the requirements for a funding period of 5 years based on a charter school's academic performance index, which is no longer calculated. Based on the department's current interpretation of statute, the department recommends funding periods between 2 to 4 years, depending on the number of times a school has submitted a funding determination request to the state board. So in conclusion, as all of the charter schools presented in this item meet the regulatory requirements to qualify for the requested level of 100% funding, the department proposes to recommend that the state board approve all of the requests at 100% for the time periods as specified in attachment 1. Thank you for your consideration of this item. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, so commissioners, this is the part where, again, we do the clarifying questions specifically on anything that was just presented. We'll save deeper dive questions for after public comment. So are there any clarifying questions from the commissioners? And again, I don't see the screen, so I will assume silence means that commissioners who are remote right now also don't have anything. Would that be correct? Oh, there you are. All right. So we will go ahead and take public comment at this time since I see no questions from any of the commissioners. So do we have, let me jump back into my script. Are there any public commenters on the phone for item number 1? The operator will notify callers when it's their turn to provide public comment, which will be limited to 1 minute per speaker. Do we have anyone on the phone?
Yes, sir. We do have one caller.
All right.
Good morning, caller. Please state your name and affiliation for the record. Your time starts now.
Good morning, Chairman Walsh and members of the Commission. My name is Nicholas Watson. I'm calling on behalf of the California Charter Schools Association in support of the staff recommendation for this agenda item. We thank CDE staff for completing the lengthy funding determination review process and for recommending full funding for these charter schools. We ask that you vote today in support of the staff recommendation.
Are there any other callers?
No further callers at this time.
All right. Then, commissioners, it's our opportunity to debate and ask whatever questions we need to ask at this point, and then know that at some point I'm entertaining a motion. So, is there any comments or questions or things to share?
So, Chair Walsh, I do have a comment. I'm sorry, I don't see a raised hand. I don't see a raised hand icon. So I just have the same recurring comment, but I do want to say thank you to the CDE for their work and their recommendation. I will make the same recurring comment with respect to the statute in terms of 5 years, and that's always considered. I understand we don't use API, but I would also offer that the 4 years is arbitrary. So if the statute allows for 5 years, I'd highly recommend that we'd always consider the 5 years.
So noted. Thank you. Any other comments, questions, or statements?
Yeah, if I could jump in.
Absolutely.
Erica.
Please.
And I also have the same recurring comment. And I just really want to say I have no doubt that these funding determinations are going to pass, but in good conscience, I'm going to have to keep saying that I do believe that the process in which we're going through is flawed and needs to be fixed. Thank you.
Appreciate both of you making your comments. I already had them both written down, but I still appreciate them just the same. Any other comments from the rest of the commissioners here in the room? Then I will entertain a motion.
Commissioner Brazil, I'll move to approve.
So Commissioner Brazil is making a motion, if I'm clarifying it, for 100% for 4 years for all of the schools mentioned, the CDE recommendation.
Correct.
All right. Is there a second?
I second that motion.
So Commissioner Brazil makes the motion and Commissioner Fennell is seconded. We will go ahead and take a vote. So Commissioner Brazil.
Aye.
And Commissioner Fennell.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
No.
And Commissioner King.
Aye.
And Commissioner Olmos.
Aye.
Commissioner Park.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So motion passes. All right. We will move on to item number 2. This one is a consideration of determination of funding requests with reasonable basis and mitigating circumstances. So once again, people who wish to make public comment by phone for item number 2 should call in at this time. Dial 717-908-1926 and use access code 1166083 when prompted. A reminder, you must enter that access code to be added to the caller queue. Item number 2 is a consideration for funding determination, as I mentioned, with mitigating circumstances for 7 charter schools. McKenna, you also have a busy day today, so carry on.
Great, thank you. So again, as Chair Walsh stated, this item does consider determination of funding requests with mitigating circumstances for 7 charter schools. Without the consideration of mitigating circumstances, none of the charter schools meet the expenditure requirements for their requested level of funding. The department proposes to recommend that the state board approve for 2 years 6 charter schools at 100% and 1 charter school at 85% funding as requested by the charter schools. So as reviewed in the previous item, pursuant to statute and regulations, a charter school may qualify for 70, 85, or 100% funding, or may be denied at 0% funding for its non-classroom-based instruction. So should a charter school not meet the requirements to qualify for its requested level of funding as detailed on the table in the previous slide, it may request the consideration of mitigating circumstances to receive a higher level of funding than for which it qualifies to receive based on the regulatory criteria. Mitigating circumstances may include, but is not limited to, the information provided by the charter school on its funding determination form, documented data regarding the individual circumstances of the charter school, the size of the charter school, or the number of years the charter school has been in operation. So the department is guided by regulations in its review of mitigating circumstances requests and considers the level of funding for which the charter school qualifies based on its reported expenditures, the individual circumstances, including the school's documented data, size, reserves, and previous requests for the consideration of mitigating circumstances. The department requests clarified information as necessary in order to make possible a more detailed review or to develop a reasonable basis for a recommendation other than one that is prescribed by regulations. So to reiterate, a funding determination shall be in increments of 2 to 5 years pursuant to regulations. For charter schools requesting the consideration of mitigating circumstances, the department recommends funding periods of 2 years, which allows the department to timely revisit a charter school's funding determination and ensure that the school meets the appropriate expenditure requirements for their approved level of funding for non-classroom-based instruction. In conclusion, the department proposes to recommend that the state board approve the charter schools included in this item for a higher level of funding than for which they qualify to receive. 6 charter schools, the CDE proposes to recommend that the state board approve 6 charter schools at 100% funding, which is the funding level requested by the charter schools, and 1 charter school for 85% funding, which was also requested by the charter school. Thank you for your consideration of this item.
So once again, do any commissioners have any clarifying questions for McKenna, including those online, the remote? Seeing no hands, I will ask once again for staff, do we have any callers for this item?
We currently do not have any callers in the queue.
Thank you. So, commissioners, it's our turn to deliberate. Questions, comments, or thoughts? Then I will entertain a motion.
Ms. Commissioner Taylor so moved the staff recommendation.
Commissioner Taylor moves staff recommendation for 6 schools for 100% for 2 years, 1 school 85% for 2 years. Is there a second?
Commissioner Brazil, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. And at this time, we will go ahead and take the vote. So, Commissioner Jones, how do you vote?
No.
Commissioner King?
Aye.
Commissioner Brazil?
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Olmos?
Aye.
Commissioner Park?
Aye.
And Commissioner Fennell?
Aye.
Motion passes. We will move on to item number 3. And at this point, I understand that Commissioner Fennell will recuse himself from participation in this item. And we will notify you when you can return to the board meeting at the conclusion of the item. So thank you as we kick you out of here now. You take that. There you go. Also, people wishing to make public comment by phone for this item should call in at this time, dial 717-908-1926 and use access code 1166083 when prompted. You must enter access code 1166083 to be added to the caller queue. McKenna, it's all yours.
All right, so the last item on today's meeting agenda is the consideration of a funding determination request with mitigating circumstances for Imperial Pathways Charter, which is authorized by the Imperial County Office of Education. So Imperial Pathways Charter requested 100% funding for its non-classroom-based instruction. Without the consideration of mitigating circumstances, the school qualifies for a recommendation of 70% funding. Upon its review of the information provided by the school, the department proposes to recommend that the state board approve the funding determination request with the consideration of mitigating circumstances for the school at 100% and for the period as specified on this slide and in attachment 1. So as I just said, Imperial Pathways Charter qualifies for a recommendation of 70% funding. The school's expenditure criteria are provided on this slide. As the school did not meet the criteria to qualify for full funding, the school requested the consideration of mitigating circumstances. As shared in the previous item, pursuant to regulations, mitigating circumstances may include information provided by the charter school on its form, documented data regarding the individual circumstances of the charter school, the size of the charter school, and the number of years the charter school has been in operation. Upon the department's review of the funding determination and mitigating circumstances request submitted by Imperial Pathways Charter, the department finds a reasonable basis for the school to be recommended for a higher level of funding than for which it qualifies pursuant to regulations. The department proposes to recommend that the state board improve Imperial Pathways Charter's request at 100% for a period of 2 years, which will allow the department to timely revisit the school's funding determination and ensure that the appropriate expenditure requirements for its approved level of funding are met. That concludes my presentations.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Any clarifying questions? I didn't expect any. Do we have any callers on the line?
No, sir, we do not have any callers.
As I would have imagined. And any further questions or comments from the commissioners? No, I didn't think so. Well, then I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve Commissioner Brazil.
So we have a motion to approve 100% for 2 years. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
And a second by Commissioner Olmos. All right. Let the voting begin. Commissioner Park?
Aye.
And Commissioner Olmos.
Aye.
I am Commissioner Walsh, and I vote aye. Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Brazil.
Aye.
Commissioner King.
Aye.
And Commissioner Jones.
No.
And motion passes. All right, we can, if someone would let Commissioner Fennell know that he's allowed to come back in, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Motion passes. I don't know if I mentioned that. Did he go to Starbucks? All right. Oh. Welcome back. You're just in time. So that concludes our business for the day. You're back just in time to be concluded. Just a little bit of announcement to let you know, again, the State Board of Education meeting happens on July 10th and 11th, and our next ACCS meeting occurs on August 6th. There's a lot going on. Thank you for the update. And everyone, Commissioner Olmos and I were just whining earlier about how busy, how long of a year it's been. It's time to take a vacation, take a day or so. So everyone, thank you for all you've been doing for an entire school year. Enjoy the summer break of running all over the place and not stopping at all. Pickleball and kids and everything else. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for your work.